evening. We're coming to you live from the beautiful Alba Hotel here in Meru County. As you can see, I'm surrounded by all sorts of nature, but here's what we have lined up for you.
Tonight, normalcy returns to Latimer Road after the blast.
Sasa nikasema, Mungu wangu, wacha ningoje ya pili, kama ni ya kunimaliza inimalize. Kini bahati mzuri hiyo ya pili haikukuwa.
We tell you why Nairobi County government's inaction may jeopardize investigations. Also tonight, his family told the police that he took his own life, but
an incident of suicide is in doubt.
The puzzle of a retired reverend's death in Kilifi. Ahead, lawyers reject President Kenyatta's plan to have them reveal client details in investigations.
It really would be a tall order for any act of parliament to legislate outside the constitution.
And Meru and Miraa.
Unajua hata wachawi wa kimila wanaroga ukiroga kuna mtu anakanyanga huko.
Why the people of Meru even use witchcraft to shield their prized crop.
Mwizi anajitoa yeye mwenyewe anakuwa wasimu.
NTV Weekend Edition with Olive Burrows.
Thank you for making us your station of choice. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Flora Atieno. We start on a somber note because it may be difficult for the police to get to the bottom of the attack owing to the lack of proper lighting at the Latimer Road, Tomboya Street junction in Nairobi, where the improvised explosive device went off. The county government is on the spot as this is its mandate, whose failure to be implemented may take a toll on investigations. Police are hunting for the person suspected to be behind the Saturday evening incidents. NTV's Seth Olale spoke to various eyewitnesses, with one in particular who is living with disability, expressing his feelings of helplessness at the time of the blast owing to his condition.
Saturday, 27th January 2019 was just an ordinary weekend for 43-year-old Joseph Anyango, a sweet vendor who operates at Odeon bus stop along the Latimer Road, Tomboya Street junction. Anyango, a father of 6 who resides in Huduma Estate, has been earning his income from selling sweets here at Odeon bus stop. He was just about to wind up his business when the improvised explosive device went off just beside him.
Nitoa hizi mti. Venye nilitoa tu moja ya kwanza. Nikaweka hivi niamuke. Nikasikia mlio. Buu! Mara moja mimi mwenyewe nikarudi nikaanguka chini hapa kwa baskeli. Nikaona kila mtu ametoroka. Nikaachwa peke yangu na mama mwingine anauzanga mavitambaa hapa hivyo. Tukabaki wawili tu peke yetu, hakuna mtu alikuwa area hii within 2 seconds.
Unable to quickly escape due to his physical condition, Joseph surrendered to fate.
Nilikuta tu nimebaki tu na dust, ndio imenikava na watu wametoroka. Sasa nikasema, Mungu wangu, wacha ningoje ya pili, kama ni ya kunimaliza inimalize. Kini bahati mzuri hiyo ya pili haikukuwa, na nashukuru Mungu.
Despite the incident taking place, Joseph says he will continue operating at the Odeon bus stage where he has worked for more than a decade.
Ni Mwenyezi Mungu ndiye anaweza kuwa muangalifu kwetu. Manake si kama bin Adam. Mimi naweza kukujua kama wewe, pengine hata wewe ni rafiki yangu umebeba kama mzigo kako. Siwezi jua ni nini umebeba na wewe ni rafiki yangu.
The reopening of the Smoothers restaurant situated just meters from where the blast happened signaled the return of normalcy along Tomboya Street and Latimer Road, which were cordoned off from members of the public moments after the blast. As Joseph pieces up his items of trade together, detectives from the Anti-Terrorism Police Unit were busy surveying the area where the incident took place and gathering additional information from witnesses. The blast is believed to have originated from luggage atop a hand-pulled trolley. According to a source within the investigating team, the street lights at the area where the blast went off were not functional when the incident occurred, making it difficult for detectives to clearly make out the details in the CCTV footage from cameras situated at the adjacent buildings. By Sunday evening, no arrests had been made, with police hunting down the masterminds of the blast. 2 persons who were injured from the blast are recuperating in hospital. In the wake of the attacks at 14 Riverside Complex and Latimer Road, the police are urging all citizens to step up alertness regarding their surroundings and provide the police with information immediately. All hotel operators have been ordered to obtain full details of their lodges, while restaurant operators are being tasked to improve their levels of alertness and security. Public service vehicle operators have been advised to monitor the behavior of their passengers and be wary of persons who may board with luggage and thereafter attempt to alight without the baggage. Shopping mall operators, as well as ushers at all houses of worship, education institutions and all other public places, have been advised to frisk all persons entering their premises and promptly notify the police should they detect anything unusual. All police commanders have been instructed to apply to a court of law for forfeiture of any vehicle found with illegal immigrants and any form of contraband along the highways.
With the incident happening barely 2 weeks since the 14 Riverside attack that left about 21 Kenyans dead, police are not taking anything to chance. In fact, they are analyzing footage from CCTV cameras installed at various installations along the Tomboya Street as well as Latimer Road in order to establish the people involved just before the incident took place. Seth Olale, NTV, Tomboya Street.
Mission impossible. That is what the Law Society of Kenya's president has termed President Uhuru Kenyatta's call to amend the law to have advocates compelled to disclose information about their clients facing corruption charges. The LSK president says such a law would be unconstitutional because only a specific court order can compel an advocate to disclose specific information about a client despite the advocate-client privilege of confidentiality.
During the multi-sectoral anti-corruption conference that was held in Nairobi this past week, President Uhuru Kenyatta called for an amendment to the Advocates Act that will compel lawyers to disclose accounts of their clients who are facing corruption charges. President Kenyatta insisted that corruption suspects have been using the provision of the advocate-client confidentiality privilege to aid in corruption after initial efforts to amend the law were shot down in Parliament. This, according to the head of state, has been used by lawyers to deny anti-graft investigative agencies.
We have no problem with that where you're doing legitimate
information.
business. But if a matter is under investigation, surely, if a man or a woman, for that matter, is being investigated for a particular case, why should you deny the investigative arms the ability to be able to see who the beneficial owner is?
However, the Law Society of Kenya's President Ellen Gishuhi terms President Kenyatta's mission as not only impossible, but also unconstitutional.
To be honest, I don't see that happening because under the Constitution, there's a right to privacy. And every citizen under Article 31 is entitled to the right of privacy of his communications and correspondence. It really would be a tall order for any act of parliament to legislate outside the Constitution. That is an impossibility, if you ask me.
The head of the lawyers' body argues that the advocate-client confidentiality privilege is a fundamental pillar in the provision of legal services.
The privilege basically is to ensure that when a client comes to an advocate, his communication and correspondences are privileged until the client lifts that. Of course, there are instances where the privilege will not protect someone when it's in furtherance of a fraud, for example, a criminal event.
He further dismisses the need for a law on the same, saying a search warrant would give the investigators access to documents and information.
Recently, we have had situations where a lawyer's office has been, pursuant to search warrants, has been investigated by the police. And they take away what is set out in the search warrant. So there's really nothing stopping any court issuing specific search warrants to assist in the investigation of any purported crime. So that is the law. It has always been there.
According to LSK, for the first time in their history, they are working on drafting an anti-money laundering guidelines to prevent cases where advocates are being used to aid money laundering, despite there being a code of practice and ethics setting the lawyer customer requirements.
What can happen is to come up with the guidelines which we are coming up with. But you cannot lift the advocate-client privilege because it's actually been protected by the Constitution.
The renewed war on corruption has seen the judiciary and the lawyers put on the spot and being accused of limp-footing the efforts to slay the dragon of corruption. In the popular Friday arrests, some lawyers believed to have facilitated crimes have not been spared, forcing LSK to file a suit to prohibit the Friday apprehensions. Vincent Odur, NTV.
On to some politics. Deputy President William Ruto has kept on with his tours around the country, pushing the Big Four and development agenda. He has dismissed ongoing talk against him as petty politics, with eyes trained to see if he will slow down after the president appointed Interior CS Fred Matiang'i as the in charge of national government projects, as well as the official spokesperson for the same. The legislators who accompanied him to church in Ngong rubbished the criticism, saying that they're a creation of the media and his opponents.
Maneno ya uchaguzi tulimalizana nayo mwaka uliopita. Uchaguzi utakuja siku nyingine baadaye. Katikati hapa tuko na kazi ya kufanya kuhakikisha kwamba Kenya inapiga hatua ya kwenda mbele. Hata na wale wako upinzani tumewalete, tumewashirikisha ndio tuwache ugomvi, tuwache fitina, tuwache ukabila, tushirikiane, tupeleke Kenya yetu mbele kupitia barabara ya maendeleo.
In Christianity, the commitment to salvation is getting born again. But there is now a case of dying again in the Holiness and Repentance Ministries, a congregation led by controversial preacher David Owor. In 2017, he allegedly raised Mama Rosa Samson from the dead. But on the 22nd of January this year, the congregation's poster child for miraculous works of their leader passed on again. This time, she was laid to rest less than a week after her death, with not much word from the self-styled prophet or his followers.
In June 2016, a pilgrimage made its way to Cheptaren village in South Pokot sub-county. Thousands of Holiness and Repentance Ministry faithful made their way here to witness what they were told was the resurrection of Mama Rosa Chepochesau Samson, who had died for 2 hours after succumbing to arthritis. The late Mama Rosa was allegedly been brought back to life on the 22nd of June 2017. Songs and praises pierced through streets of Nairobi Central Business District as proof of the power of God as expressed through Dr. David Owor. But the second time round, Mama Rosa has died and has been buried. However, the congregants have been quiet on the second death of Mama Rosa, whom, according to the eulogy on a funeral program, died on 22nd January and was buried on the 26th. The mourners were told that Rosa, who started ailing in the year 1996, was diagnosed with arthritis and sought treatment at various hospitals without any success. The eulogy further read that she died in June 2017 and was resurrected by, quote, the two most dreadful mightiest prophets of the Lord, Dr. David Edward Owor, who they say did this miraculous act by speaking 3 words, "It is well." Owor has been the subject of criticism over various things, one of which is that some sickly people left hospital and went to his crusades seeking healing, all the while jeopardizing their medical condition as they got off medication.
A section of Muslim leaders and organizations, including the Supreme Council of Kenya Muslims, have expressed their concern on the level of corruption in the country. They're now calling for a revisit of the leadership and integrity chapter in the constitution, as well as a changing of the system of government from the current presidential one, which they say is the basis of many challenges that the country faces. They say the parliamentary system is the way to go.
Revolution is the biggest game changer in the lives of Kenyans, and we look forward to ensure that it is enhanced and sharpened so that we all have equitable development and shared prosperity. Proposals would include a relook at the finance chapter with a view of enhancing the funding to the counties, enhancement of transparency and accountability mechanism to avoid wastages and corruption, and the development of clear, equitable criteria on the sharing of devolved funding to ensure that historically marginalized counties and regions are brought up to the national average, so that all communities enjoy the fruits of our shared growth and development.
We also need to have a relook at our governance system, which in our socio-political context fails miserably in fostering inclusivity. The presidential system of government has serious challenges. Its architecture and design cannot work in our country. We propose a parliamentary form of government as it takes away the poisonous sting of ethnic competition for political power, and it has clear inbuilt mechanisms of checks and balances.
A section of the Methodist Church from Rabai, Kilifi County held a ceremony marking their secession from the broader Methodist Church following leadership wrangles. The church, now under Bishop Wellington Sanda, has cited intimidation from the leadership and mismanagement of funds. Speaking during the inauguration of Bishop Joshua Midhika as the Bishop of MCK Mombasa, presiding Bishop of the Methodist Church, Reverend Joseph Ntombura, termed the move as a non-issue. He says that those who have decided to go their own way and form their own church are free to do so, but they should not return to the church and interfere with its leadership.
And form their own churches, it becomes a non-issue at all to us. And we wouldn't like it to be involved in that, because in Kenya people have freedom to form their own churches, to worship.
Born in neighboring Tanzania in 1956, Father Limo Rewa answered to the call to serve in the church while living here in Kenya. He has been credited with changing the lives of those who live in the arid areas of eastern and northeastern Kenya. He has dedicated his life to giving underprivileged young children a good foundation to a bright future through 3 centers for girls, boys, and HIV-positive children. He tells his story to Brenda Wanga from Meru County.
In 1999, I was in Meru town as a medical coordinator for the Diocese of Meru. And in the streets of Meru, I met the boys asking me for bread. I gave them bread, but later I asked myself, is this a solution? I remember the Chinese proverb that states that if you give me fish, you have given me food for the day. But if you give me the hook, you have given me food for a lifetime. I said I'm going to build a village to help these children prepare to make their own bread. So 19th August 1999, I picked 7 boys and I told them, let us go to the place I will show you. And this is the place. I had already been given this land to develop a children's village. Under this mango tree is where I started my life. 7 children, the number grew to today. I've got the boys' school with the 450 ex-street boys and orphaned boys. I've got the girls' school here, 380 girls. I like the Njurinjeke who solved the problems of the community. And so I wanted to create a center whereby I will solve the problems of the children. I started building this building here 2003, and the people could not believe that was going to be complete. But when you have got the faith, nothing is impossible. Here where we are, this is the work of love. All my friends told me, if you are going to do something for the poor children, do it the way you do for yourself. So build a house as if you are building for yourself. And for me, I believe that these girls, they are the future mothers, they should be given the best. And for me, I worked hard to give them the best, and I'm happy. If anybody will come after me, he should actually add, but not reduce. Not lower the standards. 380 children are getting their food, their clothes, they have their shelter, they have the education. And they are passing very well. They are going to different colleges, and even somewhere in America. What else? I'm happy. When I started school, I asked myself, now, how am I going to guide these children who have no father, no mother, they have no guidance, and I'm one person? I decided to use the Word of God, first of all, the Bible. I told them this is the manual of instruction. Then I tried to summarize the whole Bible into 4 pillars: prayer, study, sport, and work. With the prayer, you connect with God. With the study, you must understand the surrounding environment and yourself. With the sport, you have to exercise your body for your health. And then with the work, you make the place a better place to be lived. And all this, you must enjoy simplicity by living simple but thinking high. When I see this, the completion of this project and the girls happy and the staff who are working here, they got a job, I'm satisfied that I did not waste my time. Gives me a lot of satisfaction. I own nothing, but I count myself as a rich person because God has given me the gift to realize such a project, because to convince people that it was going to work was very hard.
So that you get time to lace up your hiking boots. You're going to need them for this next part. for keeping me company on NTV Weekend Edition. Now, when many of us hear Meru County, the first thing that comes to mind is Miraa, chewing or farming. But for some, it's strictly a cash crop. For others, it's a way to stay awake. But for some of the Meru people, the green gold is a sign of their heritage and culture. Jane Ngoiri delves into the cultural value placed on Miraa and how it is protected from thieves.
Deep in the heart of Meru County, the brilliance of the sun rests on the trees. Beneath their cover, a traditional ritual is underway.
Kulinda ile mtu asiibe, unatoa hata mchawi, wachawi wale wa kimila wanaroga, ukiroga kuna mtu nakanyanga huko.
Soon after, the elements of the ritual, which include a chicken, are prepared. Then a mark is made around the farm by using a string that has 7 notes, an indication to any intruder that there is danger.
Yani kuku kazi yake ni vyenye unaona imefanywa, imesungukwa paka yenyewe sasa ikakubalia. Yani si unaona iko imefungwa miguu. Sasa hapo ni kumaanisha hiyo ndao inafanya kazi.
Once this is done, the witch doctor goes round the farm. He then punctures our curiosity by telling us what will happen to anyone found stealing Miraa in the farm.
Mwizi akiiba hiyo Miraa kwa siku hizo 7 zimefungwa kwa ile kamba. Hizo siku 7 kabla siishe, mwizi anajitoa yeye mwenyewe anakuwa wasimu.
At the end of it all, the chicken is the only one left standing.
Hiyo kuku itakaa hapo siku 7. Siku 7 kama mwizi hata kuja kwa hizo siku 7, kuku itaondolewa ama iwe imekufa.
The green gold plant's value is very significant to the Meru community, hence why they jealously shield it.
Ukienda kwa msichana kama wewe kwa mzee, mimi naambiwa lete Miraa, lete ncholo ya Miraa, inaitwa ncholo kikwetu. Na bila kukata hiyo Miraa upeleke kwa msichana, huyo msichana hawezi kubaliwa.
Hii Miraa kuna Miraa iko 4 juu.
Juu ya hiyo imefungwa.
Juu ya hii imefungwa, inakuanga 72. Ukimpatia anachukua hiyo Miraa 4, unarudishia msichana hiyo Miraa 4. Baba, yani ni baba, anarudishia kijana. Inasema hiyo ni ya kumaanisha ati kijana wameitikiana ati aolewe. Na hii Miraa nyingine mzee anapatia vijana wa area. Ni ya kuonyesha ati huyu msichana msiongee na yeye tena.
Owing to this significance, Miraa has made its way to altars in Meru County.
Wakati wa kitambo Miraa ilikuwa inaushwa, pesa inaenda inatolewa kama fungu la 10.
Unatoa namna hiyo. Ukitoa namna hiyo kuna hizo ya njui ni soft, haina kamuti.
For Meru farmers, they hope their culture will be preserved and heritage restored, even as the crop increasingly grows in the commercial space. Jane Ngoiri, NTV.
You're going to want to pay keen attention to this next one. He served as the first senator of Meru County in the first 5 years of devolution before dethroning his predecessor to take the topmost seat in the county. Kiraitu Murungi's campaign for governor was anchored on the mantra, "Make Meru Great." But is he on course to fulfilling this? He spoke to NTV's Brenda Wanga.
Thank you for having us in your county. At the beginning of this year, in your speech to the people of Meru, you said, and I quote, that you will devote your time, energy, preaching hard work, making Meru rich and prosperous and a sign and a wonder. How do you intend to deliver on this?
I was elected on a manifesto where I set out certain promises, which I thought if implemented, we could achieve our dream of making Meru great. So that's what I'm implementing. And I think the first thing we did was, in the context of devolution, to decide to empower our people. So our biggest project is empowering our people so that they can own their own development. And we also promote grassroots democracy here in Kenya, in Meru. So in the last 1 year, we've spent a lot of time creating grassroots organizations, both for development. So we start at the ward level, where we have created the ward development committees. And then every market in Meru, we have conducted the elections, and we have our market management committees. And then at the sub-county levels, we have the sub-county development committees. At the county level, I have a county development committee. And at the national level, the overall body is the Meru Economic and Social Council, which consists of the leading rights, the top sons and daughters of Meru, who come together. We are trying to imagine Vision 2040 for Meru. So how Meru is going to look like 20 years from now. So basically that's the organization I've been doing the last 1 year.
You've talked about devolution at the county level. So you're basically implementing a program that will be called devolution within devolution?
The constitution itself does provide for further devolution. Devolution does not end at the county headquarters. It has to reach the grassroots. So what we are doing is devolving both the power and the resources downwards. We have created the ward development fund, where I'm putting 900 million Kenya shillings every year, so that every ward could benefit from 20 million Kenya shillings per year. So I'm committed to invest 100 million Kenya shillings in every ward during the 5 years that I'm the governor of Meru. And that money will be spent in accordance with the wishes and aspirations of the people at the ward level.
It's been 1 year since this ward development fund has been in existence, I presume. How has it impacted the lives of the people at that grassroots level?
When you go around, you will see some of the roads that have been done by our committees, led by the MCAs. Every road that is done is compacted, so it looks like tarmac. And it's happening in every ward. And then they have also given bursaries to students. 3 million every ward is being distributed to needy students at the ward level. So we are also uplifting those from poor families.
Speaking about water, your county has made a claim that you have done what no other county has done, yes, sinking 100 boreholes within 1 year.
When people think about Meru, they think about Meru being green, Meru being rich in water, but that story is not complete. About 1/3 of Meru is dry, especially in the area where we border with Isiolo, in the area of Bore, Tegania West, Tegania East, and the Igembe Central, Igembe North. There are some constituencies with no rivers at all. So we have to use underground water. So those are the areas I decided to focus on. I'm determined to seriously reduce water poverty in those areas in Meru. So that's where we have done the 100 boreholes with an international renowned company, Davis and Chatriff, as our partners.
Speaking about achieving your manifesto, this will require you to work closely with all the other arms of government here, even at the county level. So what would you say the relationship between the executive and the legislative arm of the county government and its importance towards you achieving your manifesto?
One of my clarion calls is for us to work together. I work together with all elected leaders. I work together with the leadership of the national government, also the members of parliament, and we involve them in our activities. My relationship with the county assembly is excellent. I reached out to them. I told them I want us to work together, and the MCAs are the patrons of the ward development committees. So they are based in their wards, trying to give guidance there, and also participating in the development project that we are doing, both in terms of identifying the projects and also providing oversight.
When you come to Meru, we cannot not talk about the major cash crop in this area and the politics around it. There have been cries about the money that was set aside to help Miraa farmers. What is your county government's take on that, and what has actually happened to that fund?
Miraa Was operating in illegal limbo, in illegal uncertainty. Because some people used to think it's a drug, you know, others they don't know what. But the president, after receiving, including scientific reports, you know, was convinced this is not a drug, it is a stimulant. And he allocated it, he first made it a cash crop, the way coffee or tea is a cash crop, which is a great step for us. And then he allocated 1 billion Kenya shillings for us to develop the Miraa industry. There's been various controversies about that money, more so because of politics, some which I would call negative politics. Some people saying the MPs want to divide the money among themselves and the others. So we decided, let's try to remove the politics out of it. Let the MPs, governors, senators keep off the Miraa money. And we asked the ministry to constitute a technical committee, you know, which will be in charge of that money. As we are talking, the technical committee is in Meru. They are listening to the farmers. They are in Yegembe now. And they are the ones to determine how the money is going to be spent.
In this county, you and your predecessor have not been on the very best of terms, despite the famous handshake brokered by no less than the president himself. What went wrong?
Nothing has gone wrong. It's only that we have not met for some time. But I do support His Excellency, the former Governor Peter Munya, in his role as Minister for Trade. And indeed, that was the arrangement. The president said he wants to work with him at the national level, and then I'm bereft to work in Meru. Peter Munya has not come on the ground to disrupt what I'm doing, and I'm supporting what he's doing at the top.
You have expressed your support very vocally for the referendum at the national level. Your reasons still remain the same?
Having experienced the Constitution for the last 10 years now, I feel there is a need for us to refine it, for us to fine-tune it, you know, so that they can meet the aspirations of our people. One of the frustrations we have noticed is what the president himself is talking about. Instead of democracy bringing lasting peace to the country, there has been always tensions and near fights every time we finish an election. The mistake we made is this mechanical textbook copying of democratic models, because we seem to be fixed on either parliamentary or a presidential system. I'm saying those who have been traveling to China, which is doing very well, the Chinese talk about communism with the Chinese characteristics. And I'm saying maybe time has come for us to talk about democracy with the Kenyan characteristics. We need to open the pyramid a little at the top. We can't deny Kenya is still a tribal society. And so long as there's only one position at the top, the other tribes will feel marginalized. So it's good for us to open the executive. I was lucky to have served during the Nusumukate government of President Moi Kibaki as minister. When the opposition came in, we worked very well with them. And you remember that for the first time, when this country registered 7% growth rate, there was very little noise. And I think it was a good model. So if a new constitution can bring a similar model, I think it will be good for the country. So at the Council of Governors, I've been appointed together with Professor Kibuda Kibwana to co-chair or lead our referendum team. And we are going to be consulting with the various stakeholders. But for us, the critical thing will be financial devolution. I think there was too much focus in the past on imperial presidency. You know, we felt oppressed by Kanu and Moi, so all our guns were thrown there. And we forgot to dismantle the imperial financial system, where the king collects the taxes and dispenses them to the nobles at his pressure.
And then lastly, when your 5 years term comes to an end, what do you want the people of this county to remember you for?
I want to be remembered as the governor who brought more water to Meru than any other governor. I want my stone to be written. Here lies Kiraitu Murungi, the governor who dreamt water, the governor who lived water, and the governor who brought water everywhere in Meru.
Thank you so much. Asante sana. Good. Asante sana. Right, thank you.
Quite a bit to take in there. So how about we take a break to process it all and then come back and take a road trip with Melita Oletenges. The tourism industry in Meru County continues to thrive, attracting more tourists to the region who set out to visit different attractions, including wildlife and breathtaking sceneries. I mean, just take a look around. The rise in the number of tourists has also seen an increase in the number of hotels in the region. The county government of Meru, in its efforts to boost tourism in the region, hope to tap the potential of some of the scenery and supports wildlife conservation efforts. NTV's Melita Oletenges visited the sacred lake Nkunga and Lewa conservancies and takes us there.
In the hushed Meru forest is where we find Lake Nkunga, the breathtaking views only sullied partly by weeds. This lake holds a special place in the lives of the Meru people, a sacred place that was restricted to men only to come and offer prayers and sacrifices to God in their times of need.
Na tukizaliwa tulikuta hii leki hapa tu. So tulikuwa tunaona wazee wa zamani walikuwa wanakuja kutoa kafara hapa. Wakati mvua ilikuwa nakataa kunyesha, wanakuja wanachinja kondoo, wanatokea kitambo wafike hapo, mvua inaanza saa hiyo hiyo.
It is for this reason that the county government of Meru wants to revive this heritage to carry on its significance and share it with the outside world.
This lake has, over time accumulated a lot of silt, and now that's why this weed has grown. But as a county government, through the effort of our able governor, is trying to set up funds to do the desiltation of this lake.
Ni bali basudi pa kukaa. Hata wewe unasikia mwenyewe hata hali ya hewa ni mzuri hapa.
A few kilometers from Meru town is the Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, known for its conservation efforts to save the gravy zebra, an endangered species out of the 3 zebra species. Close monitoring of wildlife is done here to keep them away from harm's way.
We have the endangered gravy zebras. We have about 500 of them, which is like 20% of the numbers of the wild population that is remaining on Earth.
Lewa Wildlife Conservancy is the only conservancy in Meru County which hosts a high number of wildlife.
Meru County is a place to visit, right? In Meru County, we are collaborative with all organizations trying to make a difference, not only in the lives of people, but in the betterment of our society in protecting species for the next generation.
As we rely on international tourists who come around, we also encourage our local people to travel.
The promising tourism potential of Meru has continued to attract investors who have set up high-end hotels, which also help in offering employment while generating revenue for the county.
The hotels available in Meru, Harbour Hotel ranks #1 in terms of facility, in terms of service.
From Lake Nkunga in the dense Meru forest to the open plains of Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, Meru County presents a spectacle of its own kind, making it a rich tourism destination. Melita Oletenges, NTV at the Lewa Wildlife Conservancy, Meru County.
Melita is one lucky fellow for having explored all of that, but I plan to myself. Now, the county government of Meru is calling on farmers in the county to take up fish farming, which it says has a ready market. This as it prepares to open a fish factory this April that has the capacity of producing over 400 tons per day.
Fish farming is fast becoming a lucrative venture across the country, fueled by the shortfall of supply in the country. It is this opportunity to address the deficit that the county government of Meru wants its residents to embrace by taking up fish farming. And there are already some who have taken up the challenge. In Imenti South Sub-County, Moses Mburugo has ventured into fish farming and is now a teacher. He is now considering going into full-time fish farming and leave coffee farming for other family members. He is one of many hoping that a small push, especially from the county government, will go a long way into inviting more people into fish farming. To this end, the county government of Meru, in partnership with the private sector, has put up a factory in Metongo, Imenti South Sub-County that will be processing fish. Prior to the putting up of the factory that will be opened in April, it has supplied willing farmers with different types of fish across the county in readiness for the official opening. The types are mostly trout, catfish and tilapia. The county government records show that there are about 2,000 ponds across the county. The factory, once complete, will be producing about 20 tons of processed fish, but with a capacity of producing 400 tons a day. The factory, one of its kind, also has prospects of serving neighboring counties. The county government also aims to help farmers increase the number of ponds to 4,000 in the next financial year. Kennedy Muredi, NTV in Meru County.
Hundreds of people gathered in Watamu to get a glimpse of the very first boat made from plastic solid waste material, dubbed the flip-floppy. The boat gathered the attention of both locals and foreigners as it made its second stop in Watamu in a 6-stop trip along the African coastline.
Starting out as early as 6 o'clock Sunday morning, hundreds of revelers gathered along the Watamu beach to get a glimpse of the famous and historic flip-floppy boat that had just docked at the Kenyan coastline. Curious spectators got the chance to ride and sit in the boat that has room for people to cook, clean, and even use a toilet. The boat is part of a Clean Seas exhibition funded by the United Nations Environment Program that seeks to highlight issues of solid waste and demonstrate how waste can be turned into useful products.
Our message that we are sending, not just here locally, but actually around the world, is that single-use plastic, it doesn't make sense. We can reuse it. So we've made a dhow that can sail from Lamu to Zanzibar. Imagine that, from things that people threw away.
The boat tour and fight to tackle plastic pollution also brings to light the risks sea life faces, including extinction for some due to plastic waste. Experts are worried that the use of plastics is a major threat to sea animals. In 2016, 5 of 7 endangered dolphin species found along the Kenyan coastline were flagged as endangered by the International Union for Conservation of Nature.
Plastic and pollution is one of the problems we are having here. So the innovation of this dhow made in Lamu indeed helped us in terms of a clean environment, and because of tourism, that is also a plus for us in terms of tourism boost. And we hope that this is the way to go. And we welcome it, and we hope all stakeholders can embrace and do the same.
The dhow was first launched in Lamu in December last year, and its final destination is Zanzibar. Anita Nkonge, NTV.
How comfortable, I wonder, would you be on that boat? ICT Cabinet Secretary Joe Musheru has reiterated the need for correct reporting by the media so as to facilitate successful development in the country. This theme was echoed by the Anglican Church of Kenya's Archbishop Jackson Ole Sapit, who says incorporating value-based education is key in shaping citizens that are morally upright. This goes hand in hand with calls to ensure that integrity is inculcated in the youth while they are still at their impressionable phases of life. The two were speaking during the 70th Founders Day at Lenana School, where the CS is an alumnus.
As government under Vision 2030, we want to make Kenya a knowledge-based society. So it means we must have technology in everything that we do.
See the greater values of integrity, values of honesty, values of transparency, and all these, if we inhibit in us and leave out those values, it will curb corruption, it will curb theft, it will curb...
Time to take a break now, but I'll be back with some international news.
Olive Burrows.
Thank you for staying with me. Now, I wish I had better news from the international front, but unfortunately, 20 people have died and 81 have been wounded following a twin bomb blast that went off during a church service in the Philippines. The blast is one of the deadliest the country has experienced in recent years. The Philippine government has vowed to crush those behind the bombings, even as Pope Francis has condemned the attack. The first bomb went off inside the cathedral on Jojo Island, Sulu province, and was soon followed by a second blast that occurred as government officials were attending to the attack. Though no one has taken responsibility for the attack yet, police suspect that Abu Sayyaf, a militant terror group blacklisted by the United States, is behind it. I now hand you off to Ida Werunga, who's in Nairobi, for the sports news right after this. Now, Kenya Sevens climbed one place in the World Sevens Series standings after the Hamilton Sevens leg from position 14 to 13 with 11 points after finishing in the final of the Challenge Trophy. Shujaas picked up 7 points after losing 36-7 to England in the final. Kenya had beaten Tonga 19-12 in the quarters of the Challenge Trophy and Argentina 27-7 in the semis. Kenya has been pulled in Pool B for the fourth leg of the World Sevens Series. Sydney Sevens in Australia set for next weekend. The Shujaas will play Hamilton Sevens. At the National Stadium in Dar es Salaam, Tanzania. This as Simba SC needed penalties to beat Mbao FC to claim third place in the tournament.
It was an all-Kenyan Sport Pesa Cup final for the second time in 3 years in Dar es Salaam as Kariobangi Sharks faced off against tournament debutants Bandari FC. After a tense and barren first half, Harrison Mwendwa put the Sharks ahead 15 minutes after the break. And his goal would prove to be the difference as the Dockers endured a frustrating afternoon in front of goal. The youthful Kariobangi squad, who claimed their second major trophy after winning the Sport Pesa Shield barely 3 months ago, take home 3 million shillings in prize money, as well as an opportunity to face English Premier League side Everton FC in a friendly match in Kasarani in July this year. Bandari FC take home 1 million shillings for their effort. In the earlier kickoff, last year's finalists Simba SC beat tournament newbies Mbao FC 5-3 on post-match penalties after a 0-0 score at the end of 90 minutes to clinch the bronze medal. And with it, 750,000 shillings in prize money as Mbao clinched 500,000 shillings for their fourth place finish. Tremendous achievement there for Kariobangi Sharks. Congratulations to them. Well, let's keep it local football, where Mathare United condemned Vihiga United to their third loss of the season as they opened a 5-point gap at the top of the Kenyan Premier League with a 3-1 win over Vihiga United at the Kasarani Stadium. This as KCB shocked champions Gor Mahia in a violence-rocked match, while Sofapaka saw off Zoo FC 3-2. Brian Atwal with the details.
Mathare United's unbeaten run continued as the Slum Boys opened a 5-point gap atop the Kenyan Premier League standings with a 3-1 win over Vihiga United at the Kasarani Stadium. Chris Ochieng, Kevin Kimani and Clifford Nyakea were on target for the Slum Boys, while a Hedmond Mauda strike and Mathare United's Johnston Omura's own goal served as consolation for Vihiga, who remain 11th with 9 points. Mathare have 23 points from their 7th win of the season, 5 points ahead of second-placed Bandari. A resurgent Sofapaka side beat Zoo FC 3-2 in the clash at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. First half goals from Piston Mutamba, Elias Sieche and Umaru Kasumba put coach John Baraza in a perfect position. With just 3 matches in charge as they took their tally to 14 points, 7 ahead of Zoo. Danson Chetambe and Zoo skipper Johnston Ligare scored for Zoo. Meanwhile, police were forced to lob tear gas canisters to disperse a section of protesting Gor Mahia fans during their match against KCB at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. The fans hurled objects onto the pitch on the 89th minute after first assistant referee Gilbert Cheriot awarded KCB a throw-in that infuriated an already irritated section of Gor Mahia fans. Gor was already trailing by a solitary goal of the match, scored by Kennedy Owino on the 22nd minute. At the Sudi grounds, Nzoia Sugar beat Mount Kenya United 2-1, condemning the bottom place side to their 7th loss of the season. Collins Wakungu scored Nzoia's goals, with Samuel Ndunge netting Mount Kenya's consolation. At the Wendo Green Stadium, Sony Sugar beat Poster Rangers by a solitary goal to climb to 8th, tied on 14 points with Nzoia Sugar. Daniel Otieno scored the lone goal of the match that sees Poster languish in 17th place on 6 points. Elsewhere at the Afra Stadium, Ulinzi Stars battled to a barren draw with Kakamega Homeboys. Brian Otwal, NTV Sport.
Thanks for that, Brian. And here's to hoping that those involved in the acts of hooliganism will be apprehended. Moving on to athletics now. And World Under-20 10,000 meters champion Ronex Kipruto and brilliant Jep Korir are the new winners of the 28th edition of the Discovery Cross Country Championships held at Eldoret Sports Club. Kipruto clocked 30 minutes and 40.3 seconds ahead of his friend and World Under-20 5,000 meters champion Edward Zakayo and Mosoriote-based Josephat Kipchirchir in 2nd and 3rd places respectively. Jep Korir crossed the line first in 27 minutes 36.1 seconds with Beatrice Chepkemoi and Dorcas Chepchirchir completing the podium places in the women's race. The race saw the upcoming athletes position themselves ahead of the national trials that will be held at the same venue next month in Eldoret. Zamir Verji, Kunal Patel, Sorav Soni, Ilyan Mughal and Imran Hakada were the star attractions as the KCB Kenya National Autocross Championship season opener held at the Great Rift Valley Racetrack in Mai Mahiu. Zamir won the two-wheel drive non-turbo, beating Samir Nanji to 2nd place, with Rajveer Thethi coming in 3rd. Zamir also racked up 2 championship bonus points for setting the fastest time of the day, Ilyun Mughal winning the Bambino class. Ilyun, who was the youngest driver at Izmir Racing, beat defending champion Yuvraj Rajput to 2nd place. Imran Hakada clinched the open class ahead of Shalian Mughal and defending champion Kirit Rajput. Saurav Soni beat girl driver Kiana Rajput to emerge victorious in the Pee-wee class for kids aged 7 to 8 years. To some international football, and Tottenham went out of their second knockout competition in 4 days after a 2-0 defeat by Crystal Palace in the FA Cup 4th round at Selhurst Park. Having lost a Carabao Cup semi-final to Chelsea on penalties on Thursday. He has in store coming back to Nairobi. He was talking about maybe bringing some Miraa. I can't wait to hear some of the creativity you have for some of the goodies you'll be bringing back.
I did taste some donuts made from sweet potato flour, so I think I'll bring some of that back.
Fantastic.
Well, Ida Waringa brings NTV Weekend Edition to a close with that sports brief. It's been one heck of a ride for us here in Meru County. I still don't have a Meru name, but perhaps you can suggest one. The hashtag is NTV on the road. The handle NTV Kenya. Good night.